Hello, I'm Nicola and this is the tutorial video for Insurgence Milan 1848. The game has already been set up, as you can see, so let's jump right into the rules. The game plays over a series of 5 days, which are basically your rounds, and those days are divided into 2 phases, daytime and nighttime, which are further divided into steps. So daytime is divided into 4 steps, which are supply collection, orders, recovery, and battle. During supply collection, you will gain 1 supply for each rebel you have fielded. So in this case, I'll gain 6 supplies going from 4 to 10. Supplies may never exceed 10, and this step is skipped during the first day. After this, there will be orders, which where you, the player, and the Austrian troops, which is the bot, will alternate issuing orders, which are basically your actions, in this sequence A, B, A, B, A, where A represents the player. The Austrian orders are very simple. They will simply just redeploy, they'll simply just field 3 troops, then redeploy 1 for their second order. This follows a precise logic which always stays the same. After the order step, there is the recovery, where you will gain back into your supply the rebels placed on the day space of the hospitals, if they were wounded during previous rounds. And finally, there is the battle step, which where you will resolve battles in districts, starting from district A, going clockwise, and ending with the district G. So after daytime, there will come nighttime, which is still divided into steps, but this time there are only 3 steps, which are orders, recovery, and battle. Those steps work essentially the same with a few differences. First, during the order step, you will be able to only issue 2 orders, and the sequence will become A, B, A. Then the Austrians will only field 2 troops and won't redeploy. And of course, the rebels which you will heal are those on the night spaces. At the end of the nighttime, you will advance the tracker marker once on the space and start over from the daytime. If at the end of the 5th day the Sforza Castle, which is on District A, won't be conquered, you lose the game, else you win. So now let's look at the various orders. The first order is to field, where you will be able to place 1 rebel on any district except District A, which is Sforza Castle. Each district may only support up to 3 rebels. The same is true for Austrian troops. Each district can only support up to 3 of those. Then the second order is to move, which you'll be able to take 2 rebels, which can come from different districts, and move them to an adjacent one. For example, like this, or like this. Each rebel may not move twice during the same phase. So, for example, with 2 orders, I couldn't do this. Then the third order is to build barricades, where you will spend 2 supply, then place a barricade cube on a space on a district where you have at least a rebel. Each district may only support up to 2 barricades. The final 2 actions are regard the provisional government, which you can found after conquering Tower Palace, which is on District C. And by the way, to conquer structures, you simply have to win combat on the district, and winning combat entails removing all troops on it. So the first action is to upgrade the government, which you simply spend the supply cost indicated here for the column. So for example, the first column is 2 supplies, the second is 3, and you place a blue cube over the upgrade you have unlocked. So the scheme here shows that if you have unlocked one of the first 2, you can unlock both second ones. So once you upgrade the government with this upgrade, which is the hot air balloons, you will be able to build hot air balloons by spending 2 supplies and placing one balloon token near you. Balloons can be spent during combat to increase your strength by 2, and we'll see how this is beneficial later. After your orders, now let's look at the enemy logic, which first will fill the troops. So troops can only be placed on district with rebels. So for example, in this case, if we were to field, they will field 2 troops here and 1 here, because first they will try to match the number of rebels going clockwise, and then they will field any remaining one to the other districts with rebels. Finally, there must always be 2 troops on Sforza Castle. So, for example, if this were to happen, the bot will always place first 2 troops here, even if there are no rebels. Redeployment then happens after fielding, following this criteria. For troops in districts with no rebels, will first move to districts where there are rebels. So, following the example before, the bot will place troops here. So, because they will always try to at least match the number. So, this will then happen because they will be outnumbered, but here they will be. They will have 1 less unit. And troops will never fully abandon a district, so if there were only 1 troop here, they couldn't redeploy here because there will be no troops left on the district. Combat then happens during the battle steps, which are at the end of every phase. Combat is resolved clockwise, starting with Sforza Castle and ending with the central district. Combat is resolved in 2 major steps: determine strength and roll dice. To determine the strength, you simply count the number of pieces in a district. So, for example, in this district we have 1 hospital and 2 rebels. So the strength of the rebels will be 3, while the Austrian troops have just 2 units, so the strength will be 2. After determining strengths, you roll all 3 dice, and then compare the results to the strength. So, for example, in this case, we have the rebels not scoring a single hit because the results are 6, 4, 4, which is more than their strength. So to score a hit, you have to get the result, which is at least your strength or lower. While the Austrian troops, which have a strength of 2, will score a hit, wounding a rebel and putting them on an hospital. There are various other rules. So, for example, if all units of the opposing side are removed, combat is won. And so, for example, if the troops had won, they conquer the hospital, which then will count as one of their pieces during combat. So, for example, if this were to happen in this district with a rebel, now strength will be 3, because these white pieces, as it has been conquered, it is now counted as a red piece. If both sides lose all their units, no structure will be captured and no barricades will be destroyed, because if the rebel lose the combat on a district with barricades, they will also be destroyed. Wounded rebels are transported to the nearest hospital. So in the previous example, rebels in District D will be transported to the Hospital San Lorenzo in District E, and they will recover during the appropriate recovery step. But if if the troops were to conquer the hospital, so let's say if this were to happen, then those two rebels will be completely removed from the game. Okay, so water balloons then can be spent during combat to increase strength by 2, but you may only spend one per battle before you roll dice. Finally, we'll talk about outnumbering, which is a dice mitigation mechanic. So, for example, if you have a battle where there is one more unit, which is rebels. There is one more unit against the opponent. You will get to alter a die result by plus or minus 1, and it can be either your or the opponent's dice. If there are 2 units, you'll be able to help 2 more units than your opponent. You'll be able to alter it twice, and you can spend both altering in a single die. Dice altering is not circular, so you may not convert a 6 into a 1. Finally, let's talk about the provisional government, which will be founded once you capture Tower Palace, and you'll be able to upgrade it by spending the appropriate action, by taking the appropriate action. If you lose Tower Palace, you won't be able to use the bonuses you have unlocked, but you won't also have to re-unlock them. This is mostly all. The rulebook is free to download on the shop page on the Game Crafter. So if you want a more detailed look, you can always check that. And there is also an expansion called the Liberty Desire, which I will leave you to discover on your own. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.